computer. Hello everyone, I am Michael Puck and I will share with you the 4 steps, well it's actually the 3 steps to selling dog wall art to high-paying business customers. By the way, if you hear in my background something that sounds like a dog is chewing on a bone, it's a dog chewing on a bone. So I didn't have the heart to take it away from her just because of the recording. Now, I've been a dog photographer for 5 years now, but I've worked in corporate America and corporate Germany for over 30 years. What I'm going to share with you today is drawing from both sides, the corporate side and the photography side. And in the next 50 minutes, I will give you a blueprint on how to sell dog wall art to businesses. And with that, I will give you a blueprint on how to triple, if not quadruple, your average sales. The content is for dog photographers that are just starting out and for seasoned pros and everyone in between. You also don't need to have any background in business or any business education because I've broken it down into small digestible chunks that are easy to follow. And since we talk about business quite a bit, I'm going to start out with telling you one of my most embarrassing moments in corporate America. So let me set the scene for you. It was at a quarterly business review meeting. So these are the big meetings that companies have every quarter to talk about what's happening in the business. It was for a mid-sized manufacturing company in Tennessee, and I was the newly appointed director of human resources. This happened quite a while ago. The meeting was held in the company's boardroom, which had a massive wooden table, conference table in the center. And it was surrounded by executive leather chairs. And all of that was sitting on thick red plush carpet. The light was dimmed and the air was stale, mostly depleted of oxygen because the meeting had been already going on for 3 long hours. But it was finally my turn to present the HR update. So I pushed back the heavy leather chair, I stood up, and I walked to the front of the room. I turned around, now facing my audience of seasoned manufacturing executives, most of them in their late 50s and 60s. I was in my 30s. You might refer to them as the old guard of leaders, individuals that didn't think about it twice to make you look like an incompetent idiot if you gave them any reason for it. So I quickly updated the team on the standard human resource data and everything went well. But I had one more topic that I was very passionate about, but also a little nervous. So I stood as straight as I could. I took in a deep breath and I said, I propose that we invest $100,000 in a wellness program. Now, at first, the room was completely silent. You could have heard a needle drop. I wasn't sure they had actually heard me, but they were looking at me. And then, once of a sudden, the entire room burst into what I can only describe as uncontrollable laughter. Some individuals were laughing so hard that they could barely breathe. This went on for 3 minutes. Some of the longest 3 minutes in my corporate career. The reason I'm telling you this story is because it was a pivotal moment when I realized that I had presented my recommendation in a way that didn't make sense to the leadership team. So I had to go back to the drawing board to present my idea differently, to speak the language of the CEO and the senior leaders so that they could buy in, so that they could get excited about it. Now, the story does have a happy end because 6 months later, I was given not only $100,000, but $150,000 in order to implement the program. And over the next 5 years, that particular program saved the company $7 million. But none of that would have happened if I would not have found a way to communicate to the business leaders in a way that made sense to them. So, are you ready to jump in with both feet in order to find out how you can position Doc Wall Art to businesses so that they get excited about it and want what you have to offer? All right, so I've broken out our content into 4 agenda items. The first one is how to create demand for Doc Wall Art. Then we're going to talk about how to identify and connect with your ideal customers. Number 3, very important, how do you craft your irresistible proposal? And then in number 4, and that's the reason I'm saying there are only really 3 steps, because in number 4, I'm telling you everything you shouldn't do, the pitfalls, the stuff that could derail your efforts of selling Doc Wall Art to businesses. All right, so let's get started with how to create demand, because as you can imagine, most businesses are not out there right now looking for individuals, photographers that are providing Doc Wall Art for their walls. So you have to create the demand first. And one of the most important things to understand, and that's the reason I'm calling it a top priority, is the pain points and challenges that today's businesses have. And so while this might sound like something challenging, something that you probably normally don't think about, keep in mind that we're all interacting with businesses almost on a daily basis because we're all consumers. And so for the most part, we see, when we really think about it, where businesses struggle. And I would love for you to put some of these observations that I'm sure you have into the chat function. So what are the challenges and pain points that you've seen today's businesses have? Think about that. There are no wrong answers because there's a lot that companies are struggling with and a lot of pain points. So think about your experiences. Think about the companies that you interact with. Where do they struggle? Maybe you have a friend who owns a company and you get some insights from there as well. Put your thoughts into the chat function. While you do that, I'll share with you one other aspect on the next slide, why this is so important. Every solution has to solve a problem. So in this statement, the solution is the Doc Wall Art, but you cannot position Doc Wall Art in an effective way if you don't know what problems you're solving in the first place. And that's the reason why we need to really learn about businesses and business challenges so that we can address them effectively using Doc Wall Art as the solution. So keep this in mind, write this down if you don't mind. Every solution has to solve a problem. Never sell Doc Wall Art just because they're pretty pictures on the wall, because businesses will not, most businesses I should say, will not invest in that. All right, so let's take a look at, again, there are lots of business challenges out there. I have identified 8, and I will walk you through these 8 as I believe they're most relevant for us as doc photographers. So the first one is businesses want to connect with customers beyond the business transaction. So what's the business transaction? It could be delivering a service or selling a product. But businesses want a connection beyond just the transaction, because that connection beyond the transaction could lead, in most cases, does lead to repeat business. And that is what companies want. The next one, customer experience. Companies want to turn, most companies I should say, want to turn their customers, their clients into raving fans. And in order to accomplish that, it's no longer just about the service or the product. It is about the experience that's created while the delivery of the service or the product is happening. And I think as dog photographers, we can really relate to that because you can create an experience for your customers, or you can simply take the pictures of their dog. And if you do the former, you have the opportunity to really build strong, lasting relationships and raving fans. So this is very similar for most businesses. They also look for that. Demonstrating the values a business represents. Now, this is, I'm saying new, this is a growing trend. And it has really been emphasized since the pandemic, the social unrest that we have seen. So people want to know these days, what is it a company stands for? This could be societal issues like racial discriminations. It could be for a fashion company. It could be the use of real fur or not. For cosmetic companies, it might be related to animal testing. For companies that support animal-related causes in general, if this is something that's important to a company, it doesn't necessarily have anything to do with the product or service they provide. But it is an opportunity for a business to say, we are a good corporate citizen. Here is what's important to us. Because customers and clients look for companies that have shared values, that see the world through a similar lens. So that's a huge area that many companies are expanding in quite a bit these days. Number 4, creating friendly and welcoming environments. I think that's a no-brainer. That's something that most companies are seeking. This is also something companies have been doing for a long, long time. Humanizing the business transaction. Really, this is a different use of words describing the first 2 bullet points combined. It's really going away from simply having a transaction or delivering a service and making it more personal / humanizing it. And you can see on the right-hand side, I try to capture these individual business challenges in a single word or two, because you will see how this is going to flow through the rest of the presentation. And then there are 3 more. So standing out from the competition, and this is getting harder and harder because there is so much competition and information overload, and building trusting relationships. That's big. That is big for a lot of businesses that are ideal customers for dog wall art, and we'll get to that in more detail. And then getting noticed, standing out in the sea of potentially very similar looking businesses. So this is my top 8 list, not top 10, but top 8 of business challenges, because this is something, all 8 of these are something that we as dog photographers can help businesses with. And I will certainly share with you how that will look like. So I've taken the little shapes, octagons, I guess they are, on the right-hand side. I put them together on this page because I wanted to highlight a few things. So let's focus what's on the left side of the slide first. Groups that are important to businesses. Because different businesses deal with different groups, or maybe they just call them something different. So a prospect, a client, or a customer. A prospect is somebody that you don't do business with yet. A client, that depends on which business you're dealing with. They might call individuals clients, others call them customers. But in the end, there is a similar need for these 3 different terms. But there's also one other type, or 2 actually, 2 other types, and they're called patients and employees. And businesses care about all of these groups. And so I have added 4 fields in this field of octagons here to show you what patients and employees are mostly gravitating towards, or what companies are interested in when they're dealing with patients and with employees. So you can see reduced stress is something that's for patients and employees a high priority. Supporting emotional well-being, improving health, and improving employee engagement. We will not go into more in-depth there because this presentation really is focused on prospects, clients, and customers. And there's a whole nother presentation around patients and employees because they have a different need and also present a different opportunity. So takeaway here is, this is really your playing field. This is your map of what businesses need. And now we're going to take this and we're going to match that up against what Dogs and Dogwall Art can offer. So let me build this out quickly. So these are the dog top superpowers. Improve mental health. We all know about therapy dogs, so that should be a no-brainer. I think these will all be no-brainers because we have seen dogs in action. Most of us, I would say 99.9% of us probably have dogs at home and have experienced these benefits directly. But what's listed here is also something that directly translates to what Dogwall Art does. So trigger oxytocin release. A picture of a dog triggers oxytocin release. Dogs and Dogwall Art are social catalysts. They're icebreakers. They enable individuals to connect with each other. Then we have an increase in purchase intent. And if you think about it, the most recent statistic that I've seen is that 1/3 of all TV commercials feature dogs. This is not by accident. This is because dogs help individuals to feel better about something, pay attention to it, and in the end, have a higher likelihood to purchase a service or a product. Reduce stress, humanize people, we talked about that. And then we have 3 more, build trust. There is research, all of these are research backed. That means there is research, there are scientific papers that confirm that these features, this impact that dogs and Dogwall Art have, has been documented and proven. And then we have increased overall well-being and improve physical health. Now, again, I'm not going into more depth here, but, and I should have mentioned that earlier, if you have a phone handy, this QR code will come again, so don't start scrambling right now trying to find your phone. But if you have a phone handy, take a picture of the QR code and you will see a link, meaning you just have to point your camera at the code and it will show you a link. And this link gives you access to a free e-course that I've published earlier this year. If you have not already taken advantage of that, because I've communicated this a while back, take a look at the course. The course goes into more detail about the benefits or the superpowers of dogs. So I think in order for all of this to make sense, let me give you a couple of case studies, a couple of very specific examples that hopefully connect the dots around what businesses need, what dogs offer, and how you connect the two. All right, so this particular case study is a car dealership. And as I learned in my dialogue with the car dealership, they wanted to create a warm and welcoming environment for their customers. They wanted to make customers feel more comfortable, more positive. This particular dealership had an image being more male-oriented, and so they wanted to break that, and they wanted to offer something that was gender neutral. They also wanted to give their sales staff the opportunity to connect with prospects on a fun and neutral topic that had absolutely nothing to do with cars. And then lastly, they wanted to humanize the sales process and wanted to give their sales staff an opportunity, again, to relate to individuals maybe coming for the first time to the dealership in a way that was not immediately about cars or buying cars. So here's how I translated that into what we've looked at earlier. Friendly environment, social connection, building trust, humanize the business. And again, Much of this or some of this you can get to through research, others you get through to dialogue once you talk to a business. But this is really where you do your detective work to identify what are the pain points and challenges this particular business has. And then once you have uncovered that, you don't have to on the spot make the connections. You can just initially pull this information in, and then you can take a look at, so what is it that dogs offer or Dog Wall offers that could be beneficial here? So I'll put that on the bottom. In this particular case, I'm highlighting 3 aspects. The social catalyst effect of dogs, because Dog Wall art helps individuals to connect with each other. The trust building aspect of dogs, and humanizing people. And we'll take a closer look at that. But so I hope you can see the process of identifying the needs through research and dialogue with the prospect, summarizing that into some of the well-known business needs, and then linking it to what we know dogs and Dog Wall art can bring to the table. All right, let me give you another example. So this one is a financial advisory firm. They had a slightly different set of requirements. So they also wanted to create a warm and welcoming environment for their customers. Most every business wants that, so that's almost a given. They wanted to build trusting relationships with clients and prospects. And if you think about it, a financial advisor is talking to you, to their clients, about money. And if trust isn't there, people will walk out. I'm not giving a financial advisor access to my money if I don't trust them. But we do know from research that dogs and Dog Wall art are really fostering the trusting relationship between 2 parties because they can connect with something that's relevant to both of them. They also wanted to show a connection to the area that they're in and its natural beauty. That was unique to them. That's not something that's on the top 8 list, but it's still a need and a desire, and it influenced how I ended up taking the pictures. Because they didn't want to just close-ups. They actually were making a very interesting statement initially. They said, we don't want just headshots of dogs because then it looks like a vet's office here. And we don't want that. But then in further discussing that, they said, we would love to show some of the beauty, the nature that we have around here and have the dog in the picture. So that was a unique requirement for them. And they also wanted to take the dogs of the employees to be the subjects presented, captured in the pictures. And so here's how I connected that. Friendly environment, social connections, building trust, inclusion and belonging, that was specific to the employees, and employee engagement, also specific to the employees. And then you can see on the bottom how I connected that to what we know are the benefits that Dog Wall art presents. So I hope these examples help you to see the process of identifying the needs, narrowing it down to a set. And by the way, you don't have to do 5 or 6 or 7. If you can hone into 1 or 2 and explain them well as it relates to Dog Wall art, that's all that's needed. So don't feel like you have to tick the boxes on 5 different levels. I just wanted to give you a lot of different connection points, but you will see when you talk to businesses, to your points of contact within the business, there will be 1, maybe 2 that resonate more with them than the rest, and that's the one you run with. All right, so here's your business needs inventory. So in the middle, I have the 12, I believe it is, that I have seen very frequently. But you also have empty fields around. So if you have a customer that says, and I also like to have X or Y or Z, you can capture that here as well. Because the 12 in the middle are just the starting point. And again, don't focus on all 12. Pick out the 1 or 2 that make the most sense. Now, here's another testament of the influence that dogs have on us. The White House dogs have often also played an important role in shaping the public image of the man. So the man would be the US president in the Oval Office, and thus have sometimes had a major impact on its political success and the world at large. And there's one particular dog that was a Scottish Terrier who was in the White House 1940 till 1952 with Franklin D. Roosevelt. And he, to my best knowledge, is the only dog that has a memorial in Washington, D.C., and that's what you see on the picture here. And by the way, he's also proof that dog photography has been around much longer than many of us suspect. Because this picture taken around 1941 shows Fella being the model for the press. And I think he's also leaning on a camera. So I'm not quite sure if he's taking the picture or they taking the picture, but taking pictures of dogs goes back down to 1940 in a professional manner. Now, let's summarize the first section. How to create demand for dog wall art for business. First, and I think this should be all very repetitive at this point in time, understand the business challenges and pain points. That is where you have to start every single time. And then you match that to the superpowers of dogs. And you've seen the 9 that I picked out. By the way, you will have access to the slide deck, so you can go back and look at that. And then lastly, just to make it a little simpler, prioritize, I would suggest, the human connection and the trust piece, because that is currently huge with businesses coming out of the pandemic. Now, some of you are probably saying, oh, Michael, I don't know, my work isn't good enough yet, I hope you say, to sell to businesses. And I think we are our own worst critic when it comes to our own photography. So I'm not challenging you on that. I'm just saying, if that is indeed the case, I have a solution for you. As you might have seen on the cover slide, there was a background that read the Global Dog Art Gallery. I am very close to opening the first Global Dog Art Gallery, which is a gallery that is selling only finished dog wall art to businesses. And if you don't think that your work is good enough yet, you will have the opportunity to leverage the Global Dog Art Gallery and to receive commission for selling dog wall art from the Global Dog Art Gallery to your business customers. So if your own work isn't ready yet, that's okay, meaning you be the judge of that. But it could also be that you are a natural light photographer and your business customer wants studio pictures. That's also a case where you can go to the Global Dog Art Gallery and substitute work in order to present a more comprehensive offering to your business customer. I will tell you more about the Global Dog Art Gallery. I just thought this is a nice opportunity to really counter this objection, because if your own work is not ready for business customers, and for many of you, I can promise you it is ready, because I'm not that great of a photographer either, and I've sold large wall art collections. So, but again, if that's an obstacle, the Global Dog Art Gallery will give you an opportunity to sell something other than your own work and still getting paid for it. And here's an example, a mock-up of a dog wall art business setting. This and many other wall art settings will be in the Global Dog Art Gallery, so you will be able to see this there very soon. I also wanted to give you a quick overview of some of the founding members of the Global Dog Art Gallery. So the Global Dog Art Gallery is part of Canine Photo, which is a nonprofit that I'm running. And so all proceeds generated from the Global Dog Art Gallery will be used to support animals in need. So again, you see some big names on here with some incredible artistic talent, and they have been gracious enough to really contribute a number of their very best images to go into the Global Dog Art Gallery. And I'm incredibly I'm grateful for the willingness of many, many photographers to participate. And I'm still in the process of reaching out to more photographers to invite them to participate. So if there's something that interests you, please reach out to me and I'll be happy to give you more details around this. All right, now into agenda point number 2, identify and connect with your ideal business customer. This is also important because dog wallet isn't a good solution for any type of business. So what type of business is a good approach, a solution? I would define it in the following way. Businesses that are depending on trusting one-on-one relationships with customers, clients, or patients. And by the way, you see in the background another wall art setup. This one is from Cat Race, because she was also so kind to participate and to contribute to the Global Dog Art Gallery. Now, let me tell you how you can identify these businesses. Start out with creating a list of 25 local businesses. And you have really 3 different ways to go about that. The first one, you could look at every business that you are connected to in some form or fashion. So it could be your bank, your financial advisor, your accountant, your realtor, your hairdresser, but focus on businesses that rely on one-to-one relationships. It's not the Targets and the Walmarts of the world. It's probably not the grocery stores of the world, unless you have some specialty grocery store. So just look about which business requires a one-to-one relationship. So approach A is you look into businesses you already do business with. B would be you just look at a diverse list of potential businesses, including those that you do not have any connections to. And then C would be you specialize in one particular type of business. Why this would make sense is because every type of business has a different set of pain points and challenges. And my recommendation would be to do some research before you go out and approach them. And if you want to limit your initial research, you could contact a number of the same businesses, so to make it a little easier on you. Whereby I would always start with A, because the easiest way to have a conversation with a business is to talk to a business you already know. And there goes, oh, come back. There we go. Lost my space. There we go. All right. So step number 2. So 25 businesses, and as I just shown, you can go about it a number of different ways, or you can make it a hybrid of all 3. What I also would like for you to do is to build a list of individuals that you know in your geographic location. Make it 50. If you can, make it 100. This takes a little effort. It doesn't matter how well you know individuals, as long as they recognize you by name or would recognize you when you show up by just looking at your face, that's perfect. You could, in order to organize these efforts, and I would recommend that as a pro tip, you could use something like Airtable in order to put your contact details in there. So this is a little upfront work, but it will pay back big time if you do this upfront work. So it's really easy. Just list of names, put in a spreadsheet, put in Airtable, whatever makes sense for you, and then have one way to identify, to contact the individual listed in there as well. But there's actually an even easier way to go about it, meaning you still need the list. But as you probably know, businesses have their own social media tool, or employees, I should say, and that is LinkedIn. And I would recommend that you leverage LinkedIn in order to reach out to your points of contact. So here is a 5-step approach to make this really easy. Connect with individuals you know. It's a great opportunity to touch base with individuals that you haven't seen or haven't talked to for quite a while, even if it dates back 10 years. Set up a profile on LinkedIn if you haven't done so already, and then send invitations to individuals that you know and like to connect with. You could also join industry-specific groups on LinkedIn. Great opportunity to do some research on what type of challenges and pain points businesses have. Look up employees working for a specific company. So if you identify a company that you have no existing connections to, look up that organization on LinkedIn, see who is working there. See if you know somebody that's working there, or maybe somebody within your network. Connect with employees at companies in your area in general, and ask your network for introductions to their connections. That's a very common approach within LinkedIn, and so don't shy away from that. There's actually functionality in LinkedIn that makes it very easy for you to request an introduction. But again, this is not about LinkedIn. I just wanted to really encourage you to leverage LinkedIn because it is a business tool that will help you tremendously in selling dog wall art to businesses. Because my goal for you is to never have to do a single cold call, either reaching out to an individual or a business. Because if you play the cards right, if you follow the approach that I'm suggesting here, you don't have to. All right, so there's one other dynamic that I'd like for you to be aware of, because reaching and influencing decision makers is a little different in a business setting than it is doing photo sessions for private individuals. So I hope the graphic supports what I'm trying to communicate here. So the circle on the left, that's you. Then your business point of contact might be the person that you initially connect with. It might be somebody you know or somebody in your network that connects you with that individual. Chances are that person, that business point of contact, is not the decision maker. And chances are that business point of contact cannot get you in a room with the decision maker. So now you're kind of left with the challenge. How do you enable your business point of contact to kind of relate your passion, your knowledge, your insights to that decision maker so that they say, dog wall art for business, that sounds like an interesting idea. Let me learn more about that. And so the way you can go about that, there are 3 approaches I recommend. But just the takeaway from this slide, know that you need to enable your initial point of contact to carry your message forward within the organization. Because for the most part, you will not talk directly to the decision maker. So there are 3 ways that you can reach and influence decision makers. The first one is the irresistible proposal. And if you remember, that's already part on the agenda. That's actually agenda item number 3. So we'll cover that in just a minute in great detail, and I'll skip over it right here. The second one is to have a video. I used video extensively, not as an initial tool to reach out, but to enable my point of contact within the business to basically have a tool that talks on their behalf, on my behalf, really, so that decision makers can learn about the benefits of dog wall art. And then the third one is media references. I've been lucky that a number of media outlets have picked up the story about dog wall art, and I'll be happy to make this available to you. The California Business Journal is one of them. AP News is another one. They've run stories on my journey and dog wall art in general. And so these are great pieces for follow-up, for initial communication with businesses to say, hey, look at this. There are businesses out there that are using this, and here's what they're experiencing, and here's why this makes sense. Because it's different for you to have a media snippet that you can pass on than something that you say is great and you're kind of missing the proof. So irresistible proposal, video, media references, all of these are great tools that you can use in order to enable your initial point of contact to carry the message forward within the organization. And with that, we are already at the end of section 2. And so let me summarize quickly the 3 insights, the takeaways for you. Focus on relationship-oriented businesses. And I think you've seen a number of examples, so that shouldn't be hard, but that's important to identify. The next one, create a list of 25 contacts, businesses in your area. And again, they should be relationship-oriented businesses. And then put a list of at least 50 warm contacts together. And it doesn't matter how recently you have been in touch with them. And then leverage LinkedIn. It will help you tremendously. It actually, if you wanted to, you could completely do this virtually by just reaching out to individuals on LinkedIn. You build your network, you get in touch with individuals that you might not have been in touch for years. And so it serves 2 purposes, and it really invites dialogue in a very organic and a very natural way. And then lastly, the third takeaway here is once you have a dialogue going with a business, make sure that you have tools that enable your business point of contact to carry the message forward within the organization. And by the way, this QR code here is the same that I had shared with you earlier. The e-course that's out there for free for you to go through covers different aspects, but it goes also into detail of what type of relationship-oriented businesses are out there. So if you're not completely comfortable on that yet, take advantage of this while this course is available at no cost to you. Now, with that, let me go to objection number 2. I don't know what to charge businesses, because I'm hearing that so frequently with clients that I coach for selling dog wallet to businesses. So I think the Global Dog Art Gallery can help you here as well, because we will have set price points for the finished artwork that's being sold. So you can really take this as a template to say, this or more is what I'm going to ask for. And so again, one other objection, hopefully, that we can remove by leveraging the Global Dog Art Gallery. All right, so here is another picture. This one is from Jess Bell, who many of you probably know. She does incredible work, and she's also one of the founding members for the Global Dog Art Gallery. And doesn't this look beautiful? Because this is also something that businesses will gain, the visual of what dog art will look in business environments. And we'll have many, many examples in the Global Dog Art Gallery. Now, going on to number 3, crafting your irresistible business proposal. And I have some super exciting news for you here. Now, first of all, there's 6 components. I'm not going through them because we'll cover them one by one on the next few slides. So the exciting part, the really exciting part, I have basically done the whole thing for you, and I'll give it to you for free. Because I want you to succeed. I want you to have something that you don't have to create from scratch, but you can take and run with. So again, we'll go through the 6 components of the irresistible proposal, but I've created this template. Well, I have created the layout, but I've actually hired a certified StoryBrand guide. Many of you are familiar with StoryBrand and their ability to tell powerful stories in business settings. So I've hired a certified StoryBrand guide and asked her to write the content. What you see on the left is not the content she created. This is just my initial attempt to explain what I wanted to communicate. So the language in the guide, in the proposal, is different from what you're seeing here, but it gives you a sense of what's in there. So section number 1, step number 1, start with the problem. your ability, you could say something like your ability to instantly build personal connections with prospects and trusting relationships with clients is the single most important variable that impacts your bottom line. And for companies that are relationship oriented, this is 100% true. If they cannot connect, if they cannot build relationships, they will not be able to succeed in business. This is called the hook. So you start out in the proposal addressing what's most relevant to the business. Oh, I just need to stop pressing the wrong button here. All right, so that's number one. Number two, demonstrate how your solution addresses their pain points. This should sound very familiar because this is what we went through. This is how I structured this entire presentation. So the focus here is to position DocWallet as the solution to your prospect's business challenges. And you will get the language in the proposal that you can tweak, or you can go with it as it is so that you don't have to do the heavy lifting. So that's section number two. Section number three in the irresistible proposal is to show your prospect how easy it is for them to work with you. And I would recommend stick with a 3-step plan where you say, you select your favorite photographs. This could be out of the Global DocArt Gallery, or it could be based on the pictures that you've taken. Then see them virtually arranged on your walls. Have the opportunity to create mock-ups that show the business wall space. And then make a simple and easy decision. And that's it. And so companies are much more inclined to work with you if you can show them how easy it is to do business with you. Number four, your investment. So this is where you then outline what it would cost. And again, you have a couple of different options here. You can use a proposal as an initial opportunity to connect and educate. And in this case, the investment might be as brief as, I charge on average per room or large wall $1,500, and that's all you say. Or if you have been already in contact with the business and have discussed in detail what they're looking for, you can break it out in great detail here. And I have some powerful recommendations that you also will find in the proposal template on how to demonstrate value and how to make it easy for the customer to say yes. Again, the focus here is to position the wallet as an investment, not a spend. Let me take a second to talk about this because that is so important. A spend is an expense. An investment is something that a company expects to receive a return on because it delivers back. If you can explain, so this is probably the most important aspect of anything I'm going to tell you today. If you can explain to your prospect how DocWallet solves a problem for them, the company will understand that your solution offers what they're looking for to get a return on investment. So to give you a more practical example, if DocWallet can help them to connect more deeply, more instantly with their prospects, they will have the opportunity to write more business, to have a larger customer base. That is the return that they expect. That is the reason why they're willing to make the investment in the first place. And with that, you will also eliminate the objection, oh, this is too expensive, because now it's an investment that delivers a much greater benefit for the business. Once you get that piece, once you can talk to that piece, businesses will say yes much more frequently than you anticipate. But still, the disclaimer, DocWallet is not for all businesses. So don't expect 9 out of 10 businesses wanting to have DocWallet. All right, number 5, tell your story. So this is where you have the opportunity, and this is how long you wait in the proposal to even speak about you, your business, what you bring to the table. And the opportunity here is to show empathy, that you understand the business, their challenges, but also to demonstrate authority. And as a dog photographer, as a photographer in general, the best way to demonstrate authority is by showing your work, or reference the Global Dog Art Gallery to your business, to your prospect, and this will have the same effect. Or a combination of the two. That's completely up to you. Lastly, and this is really just the tactical execution, a clear call to action. Be crystal clear on what your prospect needs to do next in order to do business with you. This might be oversimplistic, but businesses are busy, people are busy. If you don't lay it out for them to say, here's what you do next, or here's what I do next, it might stall things. It might actually lose the momentum in order to bring this across the finish line. All right, so here it is, your Dog Wall Art proposal template for free. And this is only for participants of the Hair of the Dog Summit for 2021. This is not tied into the VIP All Access plan. This is just a gift from me that I give to you for being interested in selling dog wall art to businesses. This is a Canva template, so it's not just something you look at and you have to recreate. I'll actually give you access to the template, and you can then make it yours. You can swap out the pictures, the logo, the brand colors, the content, everything. But it's ready for you to use. I'll show you the QR code again at the end. All right, so quickly, start with the problem. Demonstrate how dog wall art addresses their business challenges. This should come out of your ears by now, because I've been saying this for the last 60 some minutes. Well, not quite 50. And stand out with a professional business proposal. That is something most companies expect but seldom receive. So you can stand out in that regard as well. So objection number 3, I don't have a business background and I'm terrible at sales. I'm not a salesperson either. And quite honestly, you don't have to. If you're starting out, if you just want to tip your toe in the water and you want to see if this whole selling dog wall art to businesses is something that you want to get into, leverage the Global Dog Art Gallery. You could even, in passing to your LinkedIn contacts, say, have you seen those cool pictures on the Global Dog Art Gallery? Companies hanging them now into their environment, and you will have your own affiliate code, and whatever purchase is being made out of the Global Dog Art Gallery earns you commission. And you will see in short order that companies will be interested, because the Global Dog Art Gallery will also educate their visitors on why dog wall art makes sense for businesses. All right, I think I have this in here 3 times. So here's another nice collection of pictures contributed from Esther, who is a German dog photographer. So let me go quickly into the 9 pitfalls. So here are the things you should not do. I think most of them are pretty straightforward and we don't have to spend much time on them. Number 1, trying to sell dog wall art to every business. Not every business wants dog wall art. Probably 9 out of 10 businesses don't want dog wall art. But don't be discouraged. That's the reason why I have you made a list of 50 businesses, so that you find a number of businesses that say, yeah, tell me more about that. That sounds interesting. Number 2, being an order taker versus the expert. Now, this is mindset, but you are the expert. You talking to maybe an accountant, maybe somebody in HR. They have no clue about dog wall art in general. You're the expert. You need to assume that role as expert. That is important. Another potential pitfall is if you're not willing to step out of your comfort zone, because this whole business thing just sounds scary. It's not scary. I would actually say it's easier to sell to a business than it is to sell to a private individual. And you've been doing that already. All right, so here are 3 more. You're not enabling your point of contact to promote the idea internally. So we talked about that quite a bit, but that is a point where the system can break easily if you don't have the tools to bridge the gap. Number 5, you don't look or act like a business. I'll say more about that on a couple of slides because I've actually put a checklist together for you to know what exactly I mean by looking and acting like a business. It's not a long list, but if you don't follow the list, meaning if you do something contrary to what's on the list, businesses won't take you serious and most likely won't do business with you. Number 6, you don't understand your prospects' business pain points. You do have to do some research. There is no way around that. Number 7, you're trying to sell versus trying to solve a problem. And again, it really goes back to number 6 as well. Once you understand the problem, you can help companies solve a problem. And once you solve a problem, you don't have to sell, because selling is really just pushing stuff on people without knowing what their needs are. The moment you identify their needs, you can help them. And this changes the entire dynamic. Number 8, your money mindset is sabotaging you. If you're concerned taking orders for $10,000, $15,000, $20,000, that is something you need to tackle. And I know there are some amazing coaches, Heather Lartinen being one of them, and she is speaking right after me. So there are some resources that you should tap into in order to address the mindset, because you don't want to sabotage yourself after you've done all the work to get a great order in, and then you do something that kind of works against you. And number 9, you're giving up too early. Sales, meaning it's still sales, even so we're providing a service and helping companies, is a numbers game. And so sometimes you have to connect with 20, 25, 30 companies before you get a yes. But it's worth your effort, I promise. All right, so what have we covered? How to create demand for dog wall art, how to identify the right customers and connect with them, how to craft, well, actually I've taken this off your plate altogether because you get a template that you can use, and then the 9 pitfalls. So in closing, I would really love for you to jump with both feet into selling dog wall art for businesses. As I said, you can do it through the Global Dog Art Gallery, and you can do it just tipping your toes, or you can make the decision that you want to sell your own work to businesses geographically close to you. Whatever it is, take one of these approaches. It doesn't matter if you're just starting out as a dog photographer or switching from a different type of photography, or if you're already a pro and you have a full-time photography business. With a very short learning curve, you can become the go-to person in your area for dog wall art for businesses. And you're now holding the key to really make this work in your own hands. The checklist that is shown on this page is something that you receive when you sign up for the VIP All Access path. And I highly encourage you to take advantage of that. That checklist is basically your blueprint. It captures a lot of what we discussed today, but it has also more resources. It's a combination of a checklist, a work list, and a resource guide in order to walk you through everything you need to do in order to sell dog wall art to businesses. So I would say go for that. And if you want more support than that, I plan to offer in early 2020 live coaching sessions, group coaching sessions, in order to give you more support, in order to get even faster to working with businesses and selling dog wall art to businesses. If that's something you're interested in, You have my contact details on here as well. Feel free to get in touch with me. These two resources, meaning the one on the right, you definitely should scan. This is for free for you, and the one on the right you get for free if you sign up for the All Access Pass. So I would say for now, thank you so much for your interest, for your active participation, and I hope that our path will cross soon again. Thank you very much.